Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
Hey, welcome to Talking UpStream with some nobodies. My name is Zach, and this is Dylan over here to that side over there.
Yes.
And we are still doing our COVID version of this show, which is why Dylan and I are in different areas. And we're going to keep kind of moving around with the format until it works for us, not for you, just for us, really. So
yeah, we're doing this for us. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So Talking UpStream is a 90-minute writer's room style show where Dylan and I, we kind of show people how we create stories. If you know anything about us, we do have a bunch of podcasts. I think we're up to 94 currently.
The growth has slowed a little bit, but we're still adding on.
Growth has slowed. That's true. But we're still rocking.
Yeah.
Dylan, how are you?
I'm okay. It's been another strange week, but here we are.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
I've been seeing all your emails to Peacock. Have they responded to you yet?
No, I think they might think I'm someone else. Apparently, I share a name with like a very well-known felon, so I'm trying to avoid that association.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that okay. So I would see why they're automating their response back there.
Yeah, who knows? How about you, Zach? How are you doing today?
You know, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing really well. Yeah, I'm excited for this episode because of how last episode went. It kind of changed up some things, so we had to shuffle some stuff around. So if you watched last week, Mark Lee was on from the radio show of Mark Lee. Awesome guy. We created a very weird story, like a cyberpunk zombie, or not a zombie thing. It was a cyberpunk.
You involve the internet, it's going to get weird.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's right. It was a Reddit thing. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else is going on with your world?
Let's see. I finished up my last paid writing gig of the year, so that's kind of nice. Been doing a little bit of game design just when I'm not currently writing for what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? What are you up to?
Nothing. You know, we pitched some scripts to people now, so we're trying to actually get some stuff moving around.
Yeah, but we're doing what this show is intended to be doing. So
yeah, we're talking ourselves somewhere anyway. But let's just stop talking to each other and bring our guests up, which are way more important than we are. So if we can go and bring up our friends, Jay and Eli from Super Bracket Bros, pretty please.
Hello. Hey guys.
Hey. How are you?
We are doing pretty good. Well, I guess I shouldn't speak for Eli. I don't know how he's doing, but
oh no, you can do it for me, Jay. It's all good. I'm fine.
Yeah, I am used to doing it all for you, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess Dylan and I are kind of the opposite. We're like, I'm always expecting Dylan to take over, and he never does. So I got to talk for both of us. So that works out. So Super Bracket Bros. We are actually big fans of the show. We were on your show once before. We listened to your show before and afterwards. And although we disagree with one outcome, for the most part, we absolutely love your show. But for those who do not know what Super Bracket Bros are, do you want to explain them?
Sure, I can give the quick pitch here. So Super Bracket Bros podcast, obviously hosted by me and Eli here, where we take fictional characters and put them against each other in fights. You know, that's the bare bones of it. What we do is each season we take 32 characters, we put them into a tournament, and then we have 32 episodes in each season. Each episode, we go through one of those matches in that tournament. So we take it all the way down from that cast of 32 all the way down to that one ultimate winner. And at the time of this recording, we're almost done with season 2. We're down to our final 4, so we're super excited about that. But when we try to pull characters from not just the combat universes, you know, it's easy to bring the Star Wars and the Marvels and the DCs in there, but you know what, we want to bring, you know, Hercules and Maui in there, and guys from the musical Disney shows, and you know, everything in between. So we try to grab from everybody and try to appeal to everybody, because our thing was always like, we love Super Smash Bros. That obviously you get that in the title, but we want all the characters from all the things to be in Super Smash Bros. So this is us fulfilling that fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love the concept. It's probably something that we are upset that we didn't think about beforehand and are not doing it because it's totally right up our alley, and it really messes up because I called Dylan. I'm like, hey, what about this concept where like blah blah? He goes, dude, that's Super Bracket Bros, but with cars. And I'm like, oh man, yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But one of the questions I like to ask people, because our show, Talking Upstream, what we're trying to do is talk ourselves up to a streaming service. We're trying to show people that we can create content weekly that can get us a job writing content. Now, if you were to put the apex of what your project is, if like the high end of what Super Bracket Bros could be, where would you take it?
The high end. So okay, are we talking about realistic high end, or like you made me owner of the world high end?
Oh yeah, no, you got a lot of gold, and like you're just in there. Well, like, I want to take this to the weirdest level.
Because if I'm, the master of media now, and they've gifted me the keys to the universe, then I'm just gonna create my own cinematic universe. That's all movies are gonna be now. It's just I'm going to try to break every wall between every medium that exists. That's it. Because part of what we do is like, yeah, we love talking about the fights. Yeah, we like seeing who's going to win, Lego Batman or Captain America. We're like, that's great. But then like to imagine these characters interacting and like, what would that story be? Like what would actually happen if these two characters met? So, like, it would just be the cinematic universe to end all cinematic universes is my high end goal.
Eli, quick question. Part of your show is the in between the fight scenario, which is that weird world where there's dwarves and gnomes. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
How did that come about?
That might have been all me. Honestly, I'm not sure. We just like that was part of the process of making our own sort of fiction. This sort of like we have all these universes clashing. It was sort of the base, like our universe. So if it's our universe, we might as well make it silly. So we want to do like Keebler elf gnomes is what we've been calling them, which is just plain wrong. But no, the gnomes and dwarves. Yeah. But we just, like we said, the fun part of all these hypotheticals is these characters interacting with each other, and they interact on the battlefield. Well, we wanted to see them interact with characters, not in a combat scenario. So it's fun. We have all these gnomes who are basically just fanboys of whoever the character that comes in the room. And then it's fun, seeing how different characters interact with the gnomes. It's just part of the fun. It's almost like, instead of a tournament, we're basically putting them in like an office situation. So that's sort of where the idea came up.
Yeah, I think the original, like the first thing that instigated it was because we wanted the characters to be able to review the tape of what had already happened in the tournament if they made it to the second round. So if someone makes it to the second round, they see their opponent, then they get to see their opponent in their first round fight. Fair is fair. Then we get to talk about the intellect of these characters a little bit, their planning methods. And we were like, wait, how do we do that? And we were like, do we just are we imagining this scenario by just handing them an iPad with the tape on it? What does this look like? And it just absolutely snowballed from there into disaster.
Yeah. Them reviewing the tape, I think, is one of my favorite parts because I have one of those weird minds that likes to just envision what I'm hearing. And like, for instance, like the concept of like General Grievous, like holding a tablet and like trying to think of a way to beat somebody is just, it's so funny to me. So
Polynesian guy with an anchor.
Yeah. Who doesn't care about anything but himself. Yeah. So absolutely. Hats off. Like such a cool concept. Have you guys worked on any other projects together? Have you tried to start something before and it didn't work out, or is this a first attempt and you guys are nailing it?
No, this is our first attempt. We've been friends since middle school, so we've known each other pretty much our entire lives. And so and we always we then went to college together freshman year, and obviously kept in contact and tossed the ball around a few times about okay, how do we make this into an idea? How do we make this into a podcast without just grabbing our laptops, recording on our, crappy built-in microphones and putting it out there? How do we do something that we're proud of? So, it took a while to get there. I think, there is an unseen episode of Super Bracket Bros that will never be heard by anybody that was recorded by us in a random study room at UW La Crosse on my 7-year-old laptop that will never see the light of day, and so it just, it sort of snowballed from there. And it was at the end of the day, it's a way for us to, stay in contact with each other too, always have this project to go back to.
Well, it's really interesting because Jay and I, we worked a job last year where we were allowed to listen to podcasts and whatever. And that I introduced Jay to the Mcelroy brothers. And then Jay sort of took off with the podcasting idea and was just like, hey, I want to make all these different projects now. And Super Bracket Bros was the first one. So like Jay said, this is, our first attempt really at a podcasting project, first ever project we've worked with together. So that's sort of the beginning of just the whole audio experience of this project.
Yeah, podcasts in general were pretty foreign to me, not even a couple years ago. But then, we Eli was working at a job that you just sat at your computer all day and got to listen to podcasts. And so, I listened to a couple podcasts here and there, and I had taken a big trip and was like, I like the Adventure Zone. I like Bim Bam, my brother and me, and those were two of my favorites. And then he got me the job, and I was at a computer and could have Spotify up for 8 hours a day. And it's like, what else do I need to listen to? And the whole world of podcasting cracked open before me, and I was like, I want to do this, pretty please. Yes, and thank you.
I've got two kind of questions that are different sides of the same coin. I'm curious, one, if you can tell us who was involved in that forever to be remained secret episode of Super Bracket Bros. And I'm curious, on the other end, which pairing you've actually done would be your favorites, that the episode has gone the favorite, the way that you think it went best, or at least the episode was made the best that you have made.
Well, Eli, do you remember who we did for that forever lost episode?
I did. You want me to share it?
Yeah.
It was Spider-Man from the MCU and Eraserhead from My Hero Academia.
Oh,
yeah. My Hero, I think that was around the time that I started to get into My Hero, and we talked about that matchup because it was this awesome teacher-student dynamic between the two of them, and it clashed mediums between movie and anime, not something you typically think of. So there was a lot of cool things to talk about there. So yeah, that was our first one. And then I don't know, Eli, do you have a favorite episode that we've done?
Off the top of my head, I'm sure I have other favorites in the back catalog, but one of my favorite episodes was this season, and that we had Geralt of Rivia versus Ahsoka Tano. And that part of my enjoyment was finding out that Witchers are basically fantasy Jedi.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, but that's exactly why I thought that episode really captured what our show is about, is finding the similarities between these universes and media that you wouldn't think of otherwise. Like when we had a guest on who was our Witcher expert, and he was bringing up all the things that Witchers can do, and all three of us had to wait a second. Geralt's basically a Jedi. I think that one really stands out from this season. So if you ask me right now, that one's my favorite.
Yeah, that was a really good episode. I like that one, and Andrew brought so much knowledge to the table, and so and that's the other thing. In season 2, we started bringing on guests. The first season, it was just us, bouncing off each other, and we even, picked the seating, picked the, practically handpicked the first round of the matchups almost, and kind of just went from there. And then second season, we were like, we just don't if we want this to continue on and last, a dozen seasons or whatever, we just can't possibly know all the characters that could go into this thing, so we need to bring in experts, which is, like we brought you guys on for She-Ra versus Hercules, and obviously we love She-Ra, but you guys brought like an extra dimension of love, for that character that, we really appreciated. And it's things like that, I think that have elevated the second season quite a bit. And I think one of my favorite episodes, I think one of the more recent ones, I think, for possibly our most cinematic fight with our random location generator, was Mewtwo versus Yennefer at Mount Doom, which is wild to say out loud in a real sentence. Mm-hmm. And then as far as like favorite episode, I did like our General Grievous versus Master Chief episode, and maybe that's just because Zach's in front of me right now. That's why I lean towards General Grievous, but that one was a lot of fun. And Phil from the Wait For It podcast was a really great fan of General Grievous and brought some good knowledge on the Star Wars universe. So that one was a favorite from this season as well.
Now, are there any characters that you guys personally would not allow on the show because of just personal feelings?
Oh, because of personal feelings. Mm-hmm. Well, so like what I thought you were going to say is, obviously you have characters that are just too powerful or not powerful enough. Like there's a lot of those, so I think because of personal feelings,
like, I don't even like them.
Oh. Do I not like any? I feel like Eli would know the characters that I complain about the most better than I do.
Yeah. Nothing like we've never had that situation where we brought up a name and either of us was just like, no, we can't stand that character. We're not going to include them. All the ones we've said no to are characters who are sort of parody level. Like we talked about Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, One Punch Man. And it's like Jay was like, oh, that'd be so fun to bring them in. And I was like, but the joke is they always win. Like it's really hard to take them into like a one-on-one fight, because it's like, well, the joke is they're going to win in the end. So it's sort of tricky with that. I know I keep bringing in all my art film characters. I keep trying to shove it, and Jay's like not having that. So
you're trying to bring me your A24 bracket, and I just that's right back down. I can't have that. Absolutely not.
All I want is Willem Dafoe from The Lighthouse fighting Mewtwo. Is that too much to ask? Like,
dude, that sounds great.
That is too much for the world to handle. You can't possibly ask them that.
Now, how low powered do you have to be before you get kicked out? Like if somebody like an Edward Scissorhands got thrown into the mix, would he be like considered, or would it be like, that's just dumb, a waterbed can take him down?
I guess kind of expanding on that, I had a question. I'm wondering like how you go about deciding who's going to be involved in the tournament in the first place. When you're first establishing a season's bracket, I guess like what are your criteria for including or excluding a character at all? Because there are some that I can think on both ends of the power spectrum that would not make for interesting episodes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that we've learned these last two seasons. Is the first season we handpicked our fighters, and the first season we picked it based off characters that like had upcoming movies. We had Wonder Woman in our first tournament because Wonder Woman 1984 was supposed to come out when we were supposed to be done with season 1, and I knew she was a powerful fighter, and so I was like, perfect, it's going to time out well, we'll get to talk about the movie. And obviously that particular case didn't work out very well, but also like we included Rey and Kylo Ren because we knew their arcs were coming to an end in the Star Wars saga, so we included them in season 1. And with season 2 we did a little bit less of that. We just did characters like that we thought were interesting, that would work well in a tournament against each other. And we also knew like, we have a group of people that we know probably want to guest on the podcast, so like i.e. Geralt, AK, and we had Andrew from Level Playing Field who we worked for before, and we knew he was a huge fan. Like we knew we wanted guests on the show. And so now going into season 3, I think we're kind of try to combine a little bit from each world, so for season 3, we're going low powered. So we're going, street level heroes. We're going, characters that our hand-to-hand combatants. If they have a power, it's not inconsequential, but it's not overpowering. It's not some huge thing. And then once we pick our characters, we're going to hand that off to our listeners, who are going to do a survey. They're going to seed the characters, and then we're going to take the bracket from there. And then at this point, we've almost completely thrown out, we don't need characters that are, in media now or are coming out now, because if we just take the most popular characters or characters that are happening now, we are going to run out of characters sooner rather than later. I do not want to get to season 10 and talk about, a third tier character from the third Shrek movie versus a fourth tier character from, the 16th Ice Age movie. I don't want to get to that point.
Yeah. Are there some characters that you're waiting a little bit to pop out, because a lot of people don't know. I know, My Hero Academia, not a lot of people know that. So when getting I didn't know that show at all. So listening to those episodes, I'm like, well, that guy sounds pretty tough, which made me go watch an episode, because I was like, let me just see what these people are about. But is there any genre of fiction that you have said no, people won't know this character, we can't put that in there?
So we've kind of done the opposite of that, where we are looking for those characters. We want to introduce those characters to our audience. For sure. I'll give you a preview of season 3. There's a character from One Punch Man he's a C tier hero. He's at best a C level character in the anime. And his name's Moomin Rider, and he rides a bike of justice, and uses that to defeat petty criminals. And we're including him, and there's a lot of characters from that universe that we could use, many much more well known than Moomin Rider. But we want to talk about why this guy's awesome, and and bring that to the forefront of our audience. Because we could, do a lot of headline characters, and that would, maybe get more clicks, but, we want to serve our audience by bringing them cool media. And Eli, we're bringing in some book characters next season too.
Yeah, our first ever, because we've had characters who are the Witcher characters are originating from books, but we use the video game, the TV show versions in the fight. Next season's our first time we're bringing in a character who solely exists in a novel. And, that's kind of tricky, because it's just it's not as accessible as, say, comic books and movies. But I love the character, and Jay was like, let's, share this to people, because that's sort of what our podcast is about. Just a way to say, hey, if this character sounds cool, the books are available, you can pick them up, and maybe we can have a dialogue. So yeah, we are very inclusive about who we bring in. We just want as obscure but memorable as we can find. So
good way of putting it. Yeah.
Eli, if you had to pick one character from Mystery Men to represent that movie to be on Super Bracket Bros, which character would you pick?
The fork guy.
All right, good. Yeah. No, that's probably the right answer.
that was Ben Stiller, wasn't it?
No, the fork guy was Hank Azaria.
Okay, yeah. So that doesn't change my answer.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, we could talk about your podcast a lot, which is super easy because we're fellow nerds. So nerding out's easy. But to step out and show that you guys are just still humans, a lot of podcasters have gone through, some kind of failure in life and not got them to podcasting, but has also just been in the back there. Usually podcasters are very good conversationalists, and it's usually because of some sort of failure or something they've learned in life. To get on the topic of your show, do you guys want to talk about any failures that you've gone through that has helped you or taught you something?
That's a good question. I definitely think, there's definitely been, with podcasting, there's been a steep learning curve. So I could talk about something like that, but I think specifically, I think just in general, to talk about something a little bit more lofty, I earned a degree from University of Wisconsin La Crosse, right? It's a psychology degree, which I wouldn't have it any other way. It brought me close to a lot of different people. It brought me to where I am today. I'm happy here in Madison, Wisconsin, and enjoy my life very much. But, like, I'm also not doing a job that has anything to do with psychology, like that has affected me quite a bit, just sort of those expectations I set for myself. And, it's just constantly trying to readjust and say, like, I'm continuing down this path, and maybe podcasting takes me somewhere, and, maybe, whether I pursue a different creative project, trying to, break into that world, or, whether it be something with the current job that I'm at, which is, technology based, it's just overcoming, those shortchanged expectations, I think is something that has spurred me on to do this, because if I was just doing the job that was outside of psychology, then without this podcast, I don't know where my headspace would be at, because this gives me something to work on, work at, make better, and create for people, because otherwise, like, I'm just creating something for a corporate entity, that doesn't really give me value. So I think, I think that kind of, hopefully that answers your question. I don't know. I think sort of an indirect way there, but yeah.
Well, no, I'm actually glad you said that, because I think a lot of people don't think about the people that are behind the podcast, and especially in, pandemic and what's going on now, you can't really interact with people. So that conversation, if you have like, hey, have you heard this show, or what do you think about this show? For instance, like right in the beginning of the pandemic, I was seriously hurt and had to have spine surgery. I couldn't go to work, and I kind of lost contact with all of my friends. Dylan is one of the few people that I still keep in contact with, which is crazy because now we're doing a lot of projects together. So I totally understand and appreciate that you said that, Jay, because you're right. You can definitely feel lost sometimes, and having a project to work on and something to focus on and to make better takes up a lot of mental stress. Which, I'm glad you said it. That's really cool. Eli, you're a very well-read and a well-versed person. Do you take a lot of inspiration from anybody? I know that you were one, I guess, who brought podcast to Jay. Is there a podcast inspiration, or somebody that you kind of look up to podcast wise?
Well, Jay and I were kind of disciples of the Mcelroy, so if I could pull up the specifically Travis Mcelroy, I loved sort of his approach to podcasting, his very gregarious nature, how much fun he's having on the shows. I listen to a number of film podcasts too, and I like the particularly one called Story Break, where it's a writer's room podcast where they come up with script ideas, and it's inherently silly what they do, but it's interesting to get an insight on their creative process. Even if it is a crazy idea that may never come to fruition, you still see them going through the process of writing a script. And as someone who has interest in writing scripts and has went to school for it, I find that really very insightful and inspirational to my own work. So a lot of those podcasting hosts, just seeing them, I guess, just listening to them be creative, I think more than anything is inspirational.
Speaking of creativity, obviously our show is about making up stories every week and whatever. You guys have to be creative because you are building a fictional fight and then talking yourselves through the fight before and after. Has this brought on any other kind of creative endeavors? Have you guys started writing things or try to create your own either characters to put onto the show or your own stories?
Well, I know Eli's a writer, and I've dabbled in writing at best. Like that's a generous statement right there in its own. But yeah, no, writing something for the show is inherently interesting. And one thing that just sort of a side note is that we've always talked about is like, this is about, like, as much as we'd love, our imaginary cinematic universe with all these characters, we are just using other people's IPs and like go anywhere besides, an audio format. But I mean, I know there's Death Battle out there and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe Eli, you could speak to this more than I can.
Sure. So I actually went to school for creative writing. I'm interested in being a writer, novelist, screenwriter. That's sort of my passion. I love crafting stories, kind of what you guys are talking about. And for this podcast, I find it helping. This is sort of looping back to your previous question, Zach, about the failures. And one problem I have as a writer was coming up with an idea and not following through with it. And so I would always constantly write drafts for stories, novels and things like that, and none of them would get written. But ever since we started this podcast, I had the same reservations when Jay first brought this up to me. It's just like, oh God, like the logistics of that. What if I miss an episode? Like maybe I shouldn't do this. But there was this voice in the back of my head that said, just do it. It's going to be fun. See what happens. And so I've taken that same approach to writing now, where whenever I write something, it's like, oh, this doesn't work. Like I'll just start over. It's just like, no, just do it. Like it'll be fun, and you might get what you're looking for, even if you think you're not getting there. So to me, that this podcast project that Jay and I has helped me sort of indirectly with my other creative endeavors.
Oh, that's so cool.
I've always found the second hardest part of writing is starting on a blank page, and the hardest part is letting a full page go without revising it after initially putting the words down.
I can't. It's like bashing your head against a brick wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Dylan also has a degree in writing, and I kind of really latched myself to him because I'm a creative type. I'm, a comedian, do improv and whatever. And I just have a lot of crazy ideas. Dylan was able to take those ideas and structure them down and, kind of help me turn them into actual story instead of just, here's just two guys wearing a suit, which might be funny. That wasn't a good example, but
I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Please don't.
Two guys in suits.
Yeah,
there's more. 3 of Super Bracket Bros done. It's in there.
They play music and they escape the cops.
They're in a jug band and they're escaping security from a mall. Okay, so let's get back to your show. Now, a couple quick questions that we ask everyone just because we find out that they have encountered something along their life. But do you guys have a celebrity encounter? Have you been anywhere and run across a celebrity, or have met a celebrity or seen one in a Waffle House?
Well, I used to work in the hotel industry, so and being here in Madison, there were a couple big names that would walk through the doors occasionally. Specifically, what's his Clark Gregg. Do you happen to know that name by any means? I know you know his face.
Yeah, he's an Avenger. Kind of.
Yep. Mr. Phil Coulson of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, he asked me where to get breakfast, and I stared at him for about 5 seconds and then was able to answer his question. And I needed to make sure who was in front of me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give him the good breakfast place this time.
the good breakfast place.
Yeah, exactly. The low-key one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, in the Midwest, it's not brimming with celebrities. Like I'm sure LA, you can see a celebrity like across the corner every like few blocks or whatever. But in the Midwest, it's more. I've had some encounters with professional sports players. Usually, my cousin played for a college team whose friend is now like a backup quarterback somewhere. Like that's probably the extent of my, my interactions with celebrities. But yeah, that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, I've been in New York, I've been to LA, I've never come across a celebrity, but I lived in Delaware for a very long time and I worked in restaurants, and I've met the most amount of celebrities just in Delaware. And that's such a weird place. All right, so Dylan, do you want to get on our show? Obviously, we can chat with these guys all day, but do you want to quickly explain what our show is?
Yeah, so for anyone who's just checking in, we just finished up an interview with Eli and Jay of the Super Bracket Bros podcast talking about mashing up characters, fighting each other, and what happens in between. It's a nice little thing. You should go check it out on, I think, all platforms. But for talking UpStream, we're moving to the second phase of the show where Zach and I, and Eli and Jay, they are welcome to, and if they want to, can hang out. We're going to, Zach and I, present one idea each, and then we're going to ask our guests to choose one of the ideas, which Zach and I will spin out into something that hopefully we can build a little more of a structure on top of, something that'll give us a good idea, and eventually something we can sell to someone so that we can actually say that we are professionals at this.
True. Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah. Special thanks to International Broadcast Media Television for having us on here and letting us just chat all over their network. That's super cool. We do have some Patreon members that do help us do what we're doing. And if you do want to support us and help us make a movie or anything, go to patreon.com/somenobodies. Normally what happens here is that the week before, one of the two choices did not get picked inherently. That's just how a choice works. And then we would bring that choice to next week, and then whoever did not win has to think of another one. But if you tuned in last week, what you'll notice was that Mark Lee chose both of our choices because I think he wanted to challenge us with something. So we don't have a leftover choice. So we had to come up with one each, which is fine.
We had to do 100% more work this week.
100% more work for this very, very free show. So the concept that I came up with, knowing you guys are going to be on here, and this one actually made me giggle a lot, was I always see in movies where, like a Mortal Kombat, where they get a fighter of their dimension gets ported to somewhere, and that's where the fight starts. And my question is, what if the wrong person got pulled into this tournament, but through a Slumdog Millionaire style series of events actually won these fights? Maybe his stepdad was a karate instructor and taught him one move. Maybe his favorite YouTuber taught him one hold, which won something. So
he watches a lot of Forged by Fire.
Dude, it's about the quench. We all know that.
I know.
So the story that I would like to go over at some point is the wrong person being taken to a Mortal Kombat situation and winning through, I hate saying Slumdog Millionaire style, but I don't know the better adjective for that. But I think
they at least come out okay, I think, is how you initially kind of texted me that idea, where it's like, they don't lose horrifically in the first battle like you would expect a normal guy to lose.
Yeah. All right, Dylan. So because you have to choose something, what did you come up with this week?
Okay, so I've had an idea in our little Google Doc that was, I'm going to offer you an A/B choice on this idea because it's effectively kind of the same theme. I've had this idea for a long time where it is a time travel heist using historical figures. And I figured you guys probably aren't tired yet of talking about contests or brackets or something. And Zach texted me this idea, so I kind of had a twinning of it where it is kind of a Street Fighter Mortal Kombat idea where historical figures are pulled together into a tournament and have to fight. Now, if you guys are tired of doing tournament stuff, or you want to hit his up, that can be changed to a time travel heist. But the idea is here before you.
So
I'm throwing Zach a curveball on this one. We did not discuss this beforehand.
No, I do like your celebrity heist thing. My problem is that it's Bill and Teddy, I think, kind of. Okay. And the second one I thought you were going to say, I do like a battle of historical figures, but I don't know why I thought this, and I think it's because you texted me something about this yesterday, but I thought you were going to say a tournament with public domain figures, which is, which is very weird, just with free people. But okay, so we're going to do, we have, all right, so obviously we've been listening to your show a lot, so we're stuck in bracket phase. But so we have the two stories. My story is that a guy gets taken to Mortal Kombat accidentally and can somehow get his way out of it, maybe. And then I guess you have a choice of the choice. You can either do historical time heist or historical figure like Street Fighter. Is that what it is?
Tournament.
Cool. Okay, Eli and Jay from Super Bracket Bros. You get the hardest choice today, which is, what do we do?
Okay. My first thought, I really like Zach's idea. I enjoy fish out of water scenarios. Particularly this one I think could be a lot of fun. Say like an accountant gets sucked in, but he's like a Boy Scout. Or like does karate, you know, and the guy, you have like Raiden walk up to him and he's just like, his instincts kick in and he does a self-defense move and incapacitates, like gets the like technical victory over Raiden, like gets Raiden to step out of the ring or something. So that was that was where my head went first.
Yeah, he remembers like high school. He's like, well, I can manipulate electricity if I do this, and then Raiden's like, no,
potato battery or something.
Yeah, the potato. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I definitely I can sense the appeal, the almost Cards Against Humanity like appeal to the pickers and choosers here. So I think I my first instinct is actually I like the historical figures heist. I think I maybe this is there was a did any of y'all watch Clone High by chance?
No.
Passively.
This Eli, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
There was this animated TV series that lasted, 1 or 2 seasons maybe, and it was clones of famous historical figures put into a high school together. So you had the high school versions of like Abraham Lincoln, like Cleopatra, like all like these historical figures, but they're teenage versions interacting with each other.
Like Joan of Arc was the like emo girl, like in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It made Gandhi the comedy relief, like class clown.
Yeah, I gotta watch this.
And so the history heist that reminds me of that, and so I'm just sort of I'm imagining what circumstances, like the greatest, like the. Maybe there's like this ultimate thief who's discovered time travel and wants to pull off the ultimate heist with the ultimate crew of historical figures, and goes back and pulls George Washington into his crew and is like, "We're gonna go take the Louvre. Let's go, buddy."
Yeah, as much as I like the whole fish out of water nobody scenario, I am almost wanting to go with the time heist now, because I love the idea of like, see how we can appropriate these historical figures and make them into like, I don't know, we can make Teddy Roosevelt an enforcer. Maybe Leo da Vinci is designing the getaway car or something. So I'm totally down for time heist. Let's do that.
All right.
Good
job, Dylan. All right. So
I didn't expect it to win.
Yeah.
I was surprised Jay didn't go with the bracket. I thought you'd.
Yeah.
I mean, like, of course, I like brackets. I love the tournament idea and the Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, pulling the guy out of nowhere. And yeah, I do like that a lot. But yeah, the heist it sounds like it has more potential for it. A to B to C, and lots of hijinks in between.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. Okay, well, this is the part of the show where Dylan and I have a lot of fun, and with our guests, obviously, if you guys want to hang out. But once again, this is Jay and Eli from Super Bracket Bros. Check them out anywhere. Super Bracket Bros is very, very enjoyable. It's very consumable. Once you start it, you don't realize that it's not even that long of a show, but it really goes pretty quickly. If you're like me and you're just walking around to Walmart, you'll start yelling at one of them out loud and having people look at you. Like, Grievous should have won. I don't know if you know. I do have a Grievous tattoo right here too. So
yeah, you told me about it. I was hoping to see it today, so thank you. Yeah, that's fantastic.
The whole episode, I had my headphones in. I was looking at my tattoo. I was like, "You're gonna make it, buddy. Don't worry." Did not make it. Okay, cool. So historical time heist. Dylan, now you saw this as a heist of time or a heist through time?
A heist through time.
Heist clocks.
Yes. I
can't. Trust me, you never know.
And I had a minor list of characters who I thought would be a good jumping off point to see who this team would be assembled from.
All right, cool.
I think the time machine comes from Tesla. I think Nikola Tesla makes the actual time machine.
Oh yeah.
And maybe his goal is maybe they're trying to steal something to like promote free energy or something like that. Okay. I thought
figure out time travel, but not free energy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The either the heist coordinator or one of the lead actual thieves is DB Cooper.
Okay. That's cool.
Either before or after he pulls off the airplane. Probably after. Maybe that was like a test drive for the actual time machine. He just gets yanked out of the time stream instead of jumping off the plane.
We got to hurry up and make this before that Loki show comes out.
Yeah.
Wait, is he supposed to be DB Cooper in that?
Yeah, he's DB Cooper, and he's like a couple of weird people through time. But I like this because obviously that show's not out. We don't know if that's real or not.
That's fine. No, this is before Loki airs. Okay.
Yeah, true.
We got to beat Disney to airing their completed show that they're putting out like next month or something.
So our normal job. Hurry up and beat Disney.
Yeah, right. Let's see. And as far as so generally heist roles, you have your face who talks to people. You have the acrobat. We have the techie, and we have the I guess what would you refer to as the role for DB Cooper? Like the slide, the guy who actually takes stuff.
Yeah, I get.
The Matt Damon character, right? Sorry, this instantly has me going Oceans. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. No, go for it. It's an ensemble heist, so that is perfectly natural.
Yeah, I think grabbing an Oceans template is kind of smart because to have a lot of people would make this movie or idea even better. So, and they are every aspect of what a heist could be. So I think using an Oceans template for characters is perfect. So the Matt Damon character, which is what is isn't that the face or is that the Danny Ocean character?
I don't think Ocean's the face because he's too recognizable. He's too close to the people he's heisting. I think probably Matt Damon's the face. George
Clooney is like the sleight of hand or the distraction or whatever.
He's the mastermind. He's the one who organizes the whole thing.
Oh, okay, mastermind. Yeah. So who do you see as the mastermind of this whole thing?
I kind of like Jay's idea of sort of a unknown criminal mastermind or somebody who wants to prove he's the greatest of all time. And he kind of like the straight man who's going to corral all these crazy historical figures. So we don't know who the mastermind is. They just
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, this is cool.
If it hadn't been done already, I would say we'd make the surprise be Moriarty, but that's been done in like every one of these.
Okay.
So
how about this? How about Arsène Lupin, but he's actually real? He's a real person.
Who?
He's a famous gentleman thief. But he's a fictional character, but he's actually real.
Oh, cool.
Wait, what?
We get meta in this. Let's do it.
Yeah. Who is this? Say it again.
Arsène Lupin.
Oh, he's a French gentleman thief. He's one of the first codifiers of the trope.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah, he's sort of the original. Yeah.
I don't know how to spell that, or if it's letters or a name. Was it the letters R and C, or is that a full name? Arsène.
Arsène is like Arsene. He's French, so it makes sense. No one knows how to spell French. So.
No, and I've actually never heard of them, so I'm upset about this. That's cool. All right, so that's great. And so is the gentleman Frenchman, is he the mastermind of all of this so far, and we don't know about that?
I like that.
Could be,
right, cool.
Yeah.
What are some other characters that you need in the heist?
We need a brute. We need someone who can strong arm people.
I heard Teddy Roosevelt floated earlier. Do we like?
I heard Roosevelt
Teddy?
as well.
Yeah, he's got his big stick.
Yep. Not afraid to use it.
All right. So we got Teddy Roosevelt as the brute. I think that's cool.
And this is before he's president. This is when he's Rough Rider Teddy.
Yeah, with his leather jacket. Yeah,
exactly.
That's cool.
Coming in on the horse, 100%.
They bring him through the time machine. He shows up on a horse, and everybody's freaked out because they didn't expect to also get the horse.
It's a big mouth of chewing tobacco for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what other characters do we need in our heist? So we got our brute.
We need a window character. We need someone who people can relate to. I think, unless we want to make one of these guys like the main character.
So okay, maybe we should hop into kind of the story. So we have to figure out a way that we're going to grab these people from history. We have to figure out the science of what this is that we're grabbing them, and also why we're grabbing them. So we're saying that the gentleman is the one who's grabbing these historical figures to put a heist together. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jay.
So here's what I'm thinking: is we have a French gentleman, and that's That's what he's titled. That's what he's credited as, because no one knows Eli's fictional BS character. It's just the French gentleman.
Thank you. I don't know how to say it.
Say he exists in the same time period that Tesla does. He goes to Tesla and is like, I want a time machine. Can you make that happen? And Tesla's like, yeah, sure. Why not? And so they take the time machine. They go 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years in the future, whatever they have been, and they see like, okay, then they see just an apocalypse. The world is over. It's corrupt. It's the worst place on earth. So then they have to go back through history, grab these figures, bring them to create some sort of ultimate Illuminati to save the world from this ultimate fate. I realize I'm going away from the heist aspect of it here, but that's where my brain is going.
That's the nature of ideas too. Like you hit on something that works really well, and suddenly it swerves the entire thing, and that's fine.
Yeah, I actually like that story a lot more.
We can still do like a heist scene where they have to, maybe the time machine runs off some sort of exotic fuel they have to like go grab more of.
Well, they also, I guess in your scenario, Jay, do they? No, go ahead.
As they encounter problems, they realize they have to go to different points in history to get a specific person to solve that problem. And so it's just them constantly running into roadblocks, and they're like, oh, like none of us are good at talking to people. We need a face man. Like, who's the best face man in history? And they go back, they find the crappies like 18th century library in the local town, and like look up like, okay, who's
heisting a library?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing this as more of a movie length project. It could probably be done as TV, but that would run pretty close to Doctor Who. It feels like, because Doctor Who always runs into famous historical Earth figures.
Yeah,
which isn't necessarily a problem.
Yeah,
but movie themes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a standalone feature length would be very cool for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea is that the French gentleman, wants a time machine for some reason, and he goes to Tesla, and they go to the future because Tesla has a time machine. In the future, they see that it is desolate and awful, and they decide that they're going to save humanity. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say Lupin, the French gentleman, wants to save the future because he was visited by a figure who told him the future was going to be awful. You don't know who it is yet, and then eventually you realize it's been Philip K. Dick. Because he was inspired by being visited himself, so now he's gone back in time and told someone else to save the world.
I was actually thinking, what if they go to the future in a sort of this dystopia taken over by like the evil Illuminati? So they go back in time to make the good Illuminati and beat the bad.
Oh my God.
Two warring time travel factions of like historical figures. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's cool.
They have gentleman agreements about how to travel back in time. Like, no, you leave my parents out of this.
Yeah.
You have a problem with me, you come deal with me. You don't wipe me out. Like...
Okay, Eli, what year is the future that they go to?
See, and I was
1999.
I actually like that. Like, I like Tesla's like has this cap or whatever. Like the dial doesn't go to like 2 on the 4th slot or 2.
It stops at 99.
The gentleman thief is like, why don't we go to 2000? He's like, it doesn't go that high.
He's like, no, the world isn't going to last that long. I've only made one. All right, cool. So they go to 1999. I think that's awesome. And then
it justified as like at the end they show up at like a standard coffee shop on a street corner in New York, and it's our world, and it's like, well, I guess it all worked out in the end, huh? No, it worked out from the beginning.
No, it always has worked out.
It's always worked out.
Always has worked out. Yeah.
Okay, so in the dystopic 1999, who is the bad Illuminati?
Are these so? If Tesla is one side of the time travel coin, Eli knows where I'm going with this. Yeah. You make Edison the bad guy. You make Edison like the bad guy Illuminati leader.
Yes, I'm for it.
Yep.
And then the evil, it's not the French gentleman is our hero and the English gentleman is the bad guy.
Or we could, okay, so Dylan, what if we do a thing that I always try to pitch in every idea, that it's always like cyclical? Like, let's say that we have an exact representation of all of the good heist people, and they have gone to the future and saw that Tesla and the French gentleman have taken over, and they form their own Illuminati, which is the one that we're getting to now. So we're seeing like the third lapse of this timeline.
Okay, hold on. Let me work this out before I agree.
You're gonna need something bigger than a whiteboard, man.
I regret all advocacy of time travel in this idea.
So not Edison. So no, actually, so Edison and his partner, whoever that may be, go into the future. Mm-hmm. They see that Tesla has effectively done what he intended to do originally. Free energy everywhere. It's fine, but there's probably some shadowy aspect to it so that it's not 100% great, and they want to change it. They go back in time and implement their own plan. Tesla and Arsène Lupin go into the future and see the aftermath of that plan after it's put in motion. They realize that someone has already meddled with the time stream, and they go back and stop the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'm in. I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
We're doing
so our first movie has already happened, where they fixed the time stream, and now someone unfixed it, and now now the current movie is them refixing the time stream.
Yeah, we're writing a sequel to a horror movie that never happened.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, this is the first time we've done this sort of direct. We've had ideas featured on the show in the past episodes where time travel plays a part, whether it's a time loop or one person gets sent back in time at the end, or there's some sort of weird nonsense with the cycle. But this is the first like in-depth time travel thing we've done. And the peril of time travel movies is that everybody goes in with their own expectations. And if you don't set out your universe's rules consistently and evenly, people are going to come at you with questions about like, well, why didn't they just do this? So I just wanted to make sure that I had the cycle of events and loops correct.
No, and honestly, as always, Dylan, I always appreciate your insistence to throw math into our stories. Okay, so we're picking up with our French gentleman and Tesla wanting to do this. So they're gonna achieve their goal at the end of this, right? Just so we get a linear end, and which is and the ending is that coffee houses exist in 1999. Is that what you're saying?
Sure.
That they go to like a Borders cafe, go, things are good, libraries everywhere.
So long as Borders is around, everything is fine.
Yeah, so maybe that's the one key thing where they always go back to every once in a while to figure out if the time stream is intact, and it's whether or not that coffee shop is there or not. That is the go-to. Like, okay, we know it's good, we know it's not good. It's like it's the top from Inception. That's their top.
It's like we won, and then they look at the coffee shop. Dang, we did.
It's a donut shop. Dang it! Shoot.
Yeah, it's like hot mud, and like, what'd we do? All right, cool. So the coffee shop is the picture of Marty McFly's family. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
All right, cool. That, like every 10 years relative to their own time, they like gather together and look in the future to make sure things are consistent.
So
and
are we saying that
it's a smoking crater?
Now, so the opening of the movie is them just getting together. Like, you think it's just like a typical reunion, all these people, like coming together, and you realize, that one's named Tesla, that one's who is that? What's happening here? And then all of a sudden they hit a big red button and they go in time to check out their coffee shop, and then everything kicks off from there.
Cool.
So that what is the push for the travel? Is it that so I guess I have one of two ideas. One, Tesla has created electricity, and he also has a time machine and wants to see how electricity has shaped the world. Or two, Tesla invents time travel and then decides to take the French gentleman with him just to see how the future is.
Here's what I'm thinking. I think a origin story for these French gentlemen and Tesla. French gentleman goes to Tesla and said, let's do time travel. He's like, okay, let's do it. French gentleman originally, like, I want to do the greatest heist of all time. I want to steal something from the future and bring it back to the past. And so he goes to Tesla, like, hey, can we do this? They go, they realize that the time stream is messed up. They go and they fixed it. He becomes a better person. And then by the time our movie is happening, we have an older French gentleman. And maybe we, as the viewers watching this movie, maybe he's bringing someone in, like, it's like, as these historical figures pass away, they say to their son, their nephew, their protege, like, okay, you need to do this now, and so maybe, like, we are coming at this from the perspective of someone young, like the French gentleman's, like, grandson is now being brought into the Illuminati business. And that's how we get everything explained to us. That's how, like, everything is told to us, how what the rules of this universe are.
And then on the first travel of Arsene's grandson going with Tesla into the future, it's the broken future. And Tesla's like, well, crap. Okay, your grandfather said the last time I saw him to leave him out of it after the previous time. So I can't go get him. So we got to reassemble our team. Because I'm going to respect his last wishes to live out the rest of his life without time travel nonsense.
All right, cool. All right, so the way that Dylan and I have started, when we get to a certain point, we have to either do character development or story arcing. And Dylan always tells me about these story arcs and how you need them in all of your stories. So Dylan, do you see this as a 3-arc story structure, or do you see this as a different style of a storytelling technique?
I think 3-act works for this. I don't think we need to go too complex, because introducing time travel already allows us as much complexity as we want.
All right, cool. So if the first thing they do is, not the first thing, but in that first third of this movie, they go to the future and they find out that it is messed up. And then that's when they start deciding they need to build the good Illuminati to protect the future, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the first arc, the first third of the movie is them building a team. Is that correct?
I think so.
All right. So we have the team building. And then the second arc is them getting what?
I think that's when they have their confrontation with their counterparts. And that's where the conflict arises, where it's like they go back and they identify at the end of the third act, they got the group together. They've kind of identified one of the points of divergence, and they're going to address it. And when they arrive there, either they are ambushed by or interrupting the people who are currently changing the future.
Cool.
Yeah, so maybe there's like a terrorist threat that they like know where the bomb's going to be. They go to remove the bomb. They're there. They're taking the bomb away, and then 5 minutes later, the building still blows up, and they realize there's another Time Squad out there doing the same thing that we're doing.
Time Squad.
Dude, I like Time Squad. All right, that's the current name right now, Time Squad. But not with a K like those idiots. All right, cool. All right, so we're actually at the hour point, so let's just kind of let people know what's going on. If you happen to just tune in right now, what we're doing is me and Dylan, we are some nobodies, and we are joined by Jay and Eli from the Super Bracket Bros, and we're creating a story. This is Talk UpStream. What we're trying to do is with our friends, we try to talk ourselves up to a streaming service. Today, the story that our friends chose was a historical time heist, which is currently being called Time Squad. And currently what it is the French gentleman, who I refuse to say his name because I know I'm going to get it wrong. He goes to Tesla to create time travel so that he can do the best time heist known to time. Right?
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah,
all time.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when they get to the future, after Tesla very quickly and almost Iron Man-like creates time travel, they get to the future and they see that there is a dystopic future where energy is not free and coffee is not being served. And they go back to the past and realize that they got to build their team to do good for the future, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I like that as the backstory. I like the idea that it's the French gentleman's grandson, and they realize that the future's broken again or something for the actual initiating of the story.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Dylan, where do you see this going now?
Well, so we got arc 1, which is getting the team together, and then actually initiating the fix the future heist, and then kicking into arc, like the second act. They realize that there is a rival squad of time travelers led by Edison trying to make a gross hyper-capitalist future, something that Tesla's not into, something that people aren't into. It's a negative outcome.
What if Edison's looking for the universal patent?
Oh, okay.
Like a single patent he can do on anything.
Nothing will stop Edison in his quest to patent everything. Edison's in it. He's in it for his own drive. He's in it. He doesn't necessarily want to help people. He's just looking to like patent stuff from the future. I like that. Yeah.
I kind of like universal patent. That's weird.
Yeah.
He just like stamps it on like a wall and it's like, this is mine now.
Yeah. You do know that I own that, right?
He comes back from the future with like what looks like a stamp, but it has like a heating filament in it, and it just goes.
It's a lightsaber notary thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that. Okay, so
we don't really have. I don't have Act 3 down yet, so I don't know necessarily where. I think it would be nice if they fix things again with the idea that you'll see me. You do the whole like you have to come back with me, Marty ending where it's the adventure continues even if we don't pick it back up.
Yeah. What is something that Time Squad A can do to alter the timeline? Like what is the thing that they can get, or the person they stop, or the crux? What's the thing?
I suppose we should lay out the idea that there's a gentleman's agreement between the original time travelers that they don't go back in time and mess with everybody else's timeline. Tesla's not going to go back and hurt Edison's parents. Edison isn't going to go back and burn down baby Tesla's house, that sort of thing. They leave each other out of it. So it's more like they affect events, if that makes sense.
Wait, so they in the future they have created an agreement where they don't go into the past to alter things?
They don't go in the past to directly affect someone else's time stream. Like they're not going to go back and remove Tesla from the time stream because that's unsportsmanlike.
So then when they go to the future and realize that they're not there, then they're like, "Oh, I got to fix this."
So do we have a moment at the the second act is them taking jabs at each other, undoing and redoing various events that lead to the future they want, right?
Yeah.
But then eventually there comes a moment, where they're crossing hands, or like the less, like the French gentleman's grandson, runs into a similarly aged counterpart, and they meet and talk, and they're like, "Oh, we're not so different after all," and like creates this dialogue between evil and good Time Squad where they sit down at a table together and it's like, okay, we're not going to kill each other's parents, et cetera, et cetera. The next thing that happens is they go and like kill Tesla's parents in the past or whatever. And they're like, wow, we never thought about that. That's a really good idea. They break the agreement almost immediately. And so thus then the problem is, okay, how do we stop them once and for all? Like, how do we trace them through time to figure out where their HQ is, where we can stop them all at the same time?
I like the idea. I like that idea a lot, especially the idea of a time traveler summit where they're like, all right, we're not going to go back and attack each other as babies because A, that's messed up, and B, we don't know what would happen if part of this rivalry disappears. And I like the idea that someone goes back almost immediately and breaks that. Now, is that going to be Edison just being unsportsmanlike, or did Edison recruit someone on his team who's too much of a loose cannon?
And also,
how terrible do we want to make Edison?
He recruited Andrew Jackson.
Yes.
It's enough to get you against him in the first place.
Yeah. He's just like, you can't do that. All right, stop me then. Bye.
Andrew Jackson or someone who is, I was going to say ruthless, and historically Jackson is pretty ruthless. I was thinking on a more personal level, a historical figure who's like petty enough to go after someone personally. I'm not sure who that would be.
I mean, Lovecraft is a pretty awful dude, and
Lovecraft was also a recluse. I can't imagine him getting out and actually doing that. I like the idea of him being they try to recruit him, and he goes, "I never work with any of those people on my team," and everybody's just like, well, "All right, no, we're not involved.
Let's not talk to this guy."
Yeah.
It'd be fun if they brought like somebody bad from the future that obviously we know as viewers, but they don't know. Like if he brings back Hitler and he goes, "Hey, look who I got," and he's like, "Who's that guy?" It's like, trust me, this guy's real bad.
Animorphs did something kind of like that when they did a time travel story.
Who's that?
Animorphs.
Oh yeah, dude, you love Animorphs. All right, Dylan. So what do you think the third act should consist of?
I like the idea that someone has gone back in time and targeted people personally. So the shift goes from we got to stop arguing about this future and we got to start arguing about our present. Like somebody decides to go nuclear and start going back even further, and they have to like team together to stop this guy who has already bounced around a whole bunch to ruin a whole bunch of timelines.
So how do you see this ending? Because there's no like, unless they go back in time and erase that Edison ever existed. How do you see this kind of wrapping itself up?
Well, I suppose if we make Edison reasonable enough to agree to certain things, Edison and them can just agree to stop messing with the time stream whatsoever.
So Edison's like, fine, if you just give me the patent for electricity,
give me the light bulb.
I'll stop doing this. Give me the light bulb. Tell people that I made the light bulb.
Yeah, something like that. And then, I don't know, the French gentleman's grandson or something leaves like a note in someone's textbook where it's like, never forget. It's not Marconi. It's not Marconi. It's the other guy with a similar Italian name who invented the light bulb. I don't remember.
What if they go back and they try to stop Edison, and the first time they end up killing Edison or incapacitating him so that he doesn't invent what he needs to invent, right? And then they go back to the future and realize that the things that he did, like the general good he put into the world, will never happen via anybody else's hands. Even if Tesla tries to do it, like for whatever reason, the world just shuts it down. Tesla tries to invent electricity, but he gets shut down. Like the world just won't take it from. They only take it from Edison. So they realize, okay, we have to go back, stop us from removing Edison, so that the cycle has to continue for eternity. Like they have to like constantly. It's like keeping the balance of time, like going constantly having to go back and forth. Constantly having to have through these summits.
They have a meeting and they're like, "Listen, none of us like him, but Edison is a historical necessity."
Yeah, we don't know why, we don't know how, but he is.
He's like the finger in the dam.
Who's keeping track of all like the time rules and laws? Is there like that, like a time bureaucracy kind of thing, or are they like time stormtroopers?
Do they have the Gravity Falls time baby?
Yeah. Because if they have like a summit, then there's like one person who's like, "All right, you guys know the rules. We've made this up in the time summit of 2093 or whatever."
Yeah,
I like that because the time bureaucracy there's too much red tape, so they can't stop the bad guys from changing things willy-nilly. So the French gentleman's grandson and them, they have to take it into their own hands. So
we get a single reference of like the time bureaucracy, and they're just like, "Listen, I know what you may think, that they control all time, so they're very efficient. It's exactly the opposite. They haven't done anything in the equivalent of 150 years."
Yeah, you guys are toddlers here playing with time. Have a great we don't have time. God, we don't have time for you.
We got time for it. You actually do. No, we do not.
No, on the grand scheme of things, you actually haven't caused that much damage. So if it crops up too much, you can expect a visit from us in the future. And then he plays out of existence.
It's like you guys are talking about one thing on the planet Earth, and that's it. Like we do not care. We're still dealing with this election thing that's pissing people off. It's a different election. It's a future time election.
2020 is like a temporal linchpin. Everybody's here.
It's like, dude, 20 years from now, shit's gonna get weird.
We're still untangling that mess. Anyway,
Dylan, what do you see? How do you see the end? Okay, so the end is that they convince Edison that he needs to invent electricity, that he can't mess with time, or is Edison the French grandson the whole time?
I don't
Good. Okay, good.
I don't think so. No, I think Eli and I are in accordance on this one. I don't think we bootstrap anybody as like the secret grandson of another person or not.
Okay, good.
Although some part of me would like to just double down, just go really crazy.
every time we talk about any kind of time travel thing, at some point I'm like, but what if they were the person the whole time? Yeah. And sometimes it works.
The devil on my shoulder wants to do that, but I'm gonna say no.
There's a short story called "All You Zombies" you should read.
Yeah, very good book. Short story. Okay, so what is the final scene? Like, what are we seeing at the very end here? Is it a young Tesla talking to, or is it a young Edison talking to an old Edison that they have now recruited onto Tesla's side? Because I guess at some point we got to see Edison make that change and decide to not be a turd or a bad turd.
Edison was kind of a turd throughout his entire life, but
but before this happened, he was way worse. Though.
Yes.
Are you strafing, Dylan?
I'm adjusting my camera. I actually have Apex Legends going in the background. I'm simultaneously gaming and doing our show. No, I'm seeing it as like it's coming to me kind of Nolan-esque, where it's like they're in a public space, they're gathering, they're kind of realizing that things went okay, and then something grabs their attention that shows them that it didn't necessarily entirely go their way, but it's not a bad thing. Like, they look up and they see someone at a cafe they thought was dead, or like they look up and see a different group of time travelers heisting people in the distance, and they're like, "Well, do we want to get involved in this?"
Yeah, maybe it's sort of like angels and demons kind of thing. It's a give and take where they realize, like, okay, we're going to be able to make some good things in this world, and there's just some things that we're just going to have to let go. You know, like there's some things like the bad time squad is going to get wins. We're going to get wins. We just have to keep the balance going.
Bad Time Squad sounds like a band name or something. We're the Bad Time Squad.
So does it end, just so that I can see it, is it a kind of thing where they see maybe a worst time squad doing something, and they go like, all right, look, we can't even have that, so we got to team up, guys.
That's what I'm thinking. Like the Andrew Jackson character, whoever's the worst guy that's recruited by the Bad Time Squad, he goes back, he starts doing things that are absolutely unapproved by the Good Time Squad, but then he goes 100% rogue and starts killing like Bad Time Squad members too. Like he goes absolutely rogue. They team up to put him down, and like he's about to like end the like he goes back to the Cuban Missile Crisis, you know, and is there like talking to JFK or something, and is like, do it. and you know, then they get this argument or something, and so like he's about to like just end all human life, and because for whatever reason he's Andrew Jackson, we don't need a reason, you know, he's just and so then they work together to stop him, and they're like, okay, we're gonna keep this up, you know, and leave the potential open for a sequel or whatever, or, you know, just sort of them like they're sitting in their coffee shop being like, at least we have coffee, and they go up to the counter and try to order a donut, and they're like, what's a donut? Got donuts. Dang it.
I like the idea that there's some like petty band of other time travelers who have just discovered they can do time heists, and they pop into existence like down the street, and this more experienced group now that is having their coffee and donuts, whatever those are, like sees them kind of down the street, and they're like, do we want to get involved? And it's like, somebody's got to teach them this isn't free. Somebody's got to teach them that time isn't free or something like that. And then it's like, you know, it does the credits spin out and it goes to a still shot, and
whatever it is, that's the movie tagline. That's the time. He just squints at the camera. They gotta learn time isn't free.
Time's not for everybody. Okay, so go back a little bit. I do like the Good Time Squad. I'm gonna rename that. I think that was a clever Bad Time Squad, the Good Time Squad. I would like to be part of any kind of the Good Time Squad. Okay, so let's put together our Good Time Squad. Which now is this the current story that we're working on? Is this Tesla and the French gentleman grandson? Are they going back in time and grabbing people to do the big time heist, right? Because they're doing that and that's when they go to the future and see that it's bad, right?
I figured Tesla and the French gentleman's grandson are probably doing some sort of training one where it's like, all right, your grandfather and I used to always keep tabs on the future, so I'm going to take you along. And they go along and it's all bombed out or something like that. And he goes, well, this was a training mission. Now it's an actual mission. We're going to get the team together. And then they assemble a team made out of people that Tesla used to travel with and new people, just so we have that kind of mixture of like fresh and veteran.
Cool. So
exactly. You have a moment where they go back to General Patton, their leader, or like the arms guy, the arms dealer guy, and they go back to him and he's like, I'm out. Go talk to, I know this guy though, you should go back a couple of years, talk to my best lieutenant back in the war. He's going to do you just fine. That kind of thing. Yeah. So I like that. Yeah.
Now I have to go enjoy my casual countryside drive.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like the time travel to find their, I think that's cool. Yeah. So we have Tesla, DB Cooper, Teddy Roosevelt, Philip K. Dick. Who else do you want on your the Good Time Squad? I guess so we already have like the mechanical person, we have like the person that can build stuff, we have the brute, the mastermind. I think, do we need like one famous person as like the face to get into things, like a Frank Sinatra or something, or is that?
Yeah, no, I would agree.
George Clooney.
just straight up do George Clooney.
Dude, that's not bad.
You have thousands of years to work with
George Clooney.
And he's completely unprepared for this. He's like, wait, are you asking me to act? Kind of. Wait. And they grab his hand and zap him into the past, and he's just like,
yeah.
How was that?
It's like, you know that was a movie, right? Like, yeah.
My agent told me this was a movie. What is happening right now?
And then so who else is on the bad squad? So we have Edison, we have his buddy Jackson, who's a real POS. Who are some other people? Do you want to throw like we probably need like a science fiction weird person? Oh yes,
their brute is Attila the Hun, 100%.
I was gonna recommend Genghis Khan, but Genghis Khan was done in Bill and Ted.
Yeah,
I like Attila.
Yeah, Attila's good.
Let's see.
Let's think about maybe like an H.R. Geiger or like a Cronenberg or something. Just like just something real weird. And like this guy's
not sci-fi, but I think Capone would fit that.
Oh yeah,
I like Capone.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I don't know how he fit, but he could be the face. I'm sure he's pretty charismatic.
Yeah, a cool face.
He's the face, but he uses intimidation instead of persuasion.
Yeah, it's true. All right, well, this is cool. So then, at some point close to the end, they're going to see an alternate time squad, neither good nor bad, and the good and the bad time squad are going to team up. Is that?
We've put some really unsavory people on the bad time squad. I don't know if teaming up is an option with that anymore. But I like the idea that one of the members of the bad time squad instead is the way to go rogue, and then the remainders have to. Like Andrew Jackson or Attila the Hun goes rogue and steals the bad time squad's time travel device, or the good time squad's, and they have to team up to go back and stop them.
Or some of the bad people go onto the newest time squad, and then Edison hooks up with the good time squad and was like, fine, I should have never got Jackson involved to begin with.
What if Andrew Jackson becomes disgusted by what he sees in like 1950s America, so he goes back in time to try and like throw it off even worse?
Ugh.
So Andrew Jackson's the bad guy?
They come back to the now. Like instead of like the Biff of Back to the Future, the Broadway show is called Jackson instead of Hamilton.
And it's all like,
it's like, yeah, that guy was a really good guy. I didn't know that. He was a really nice guy.
It's like all Toby Keith songs. It's written by Toby Keith.
That Rascal Flatts. Oh, that's cool. Oh, all right. Well, I think we put together a weird story here.
I'm going to go through what we have right now, just so we all leave on a unified note. So Perfect. The backstory: Tesla and a French gentleman, Arsène Lupin, started going into the future to make small changes to see how their decisions would affect the time stream. One time, they noticed that something dramatic has changed and caused a post-apocalyptic future. They go back in time, recruit a team, do a time heist / mission, and set the future right. And that established a tradition where every 5 years or so, relative to their own individual time streams, they'd do a little jaunt into the future to make sure things are going well. Eventually, Lupin decides that he's no longer interested, so he asks Tesla to leave him out of it. We get the story going. Tesla is starting to work with Arsène Lupin's grandson on a traditional future checkup, just to make sure things are going well. They port into a post-apocalyptic version of their town, and Tesla's like, I don't know how to do a Tesla impersonation. It's time to put the team back together. No? Not? No? Nope. Okay. Nah.
Don't need that.
Appreciate that.
I imagine that's what he sounds like.
I don't.
So they go back in time and pick up a bunch of people. George Clooney, Philip K. Dick won't go with them, but he has his own way of astral projecting across the time stream, so he stays in the 60s where he is doing LSD. Teddy Roosevelt's the fruit because Patton decided he was no longer interested. They kind of, throughout some method, we haven't figured it out yet, they isolate the cause of the change, and it's strange because it seems like someone caused this to happen. It's not just an accidental thing. They go to where they think it's going to be figured out. They run afoul of their counterparts, the Bad Time Squad. They kind of hop through the time stream, fixing stuff, breaking stuff, editing stuff, until eventually they have a summit where they all kind of come to terms together and are like, hey, we can't be doing this. This is causing damage. We especially don't want the Time Bureau to get involved. Things seem okay. Almost immediately, Tesla disappears, and only the people who time travel remember him. It turns out Andrew Jackson, disgusted by the state of America in like wherever they have the summit, goes back in time and tries to make things worse. They think it might be Edison. Turns out Edison is a historical necessity, unfortunately, which he probably lords over their head because, ego. The teams team up and work together. Attila the Hun probably teams up with Jackson because, they seem birds of a feather. They kind of follow Jackson through time, have a climactic confrontation, and fix things. We see them go as a group to wherever their anchor point is. They all do a checkup now. All of them arrive at the same time. They hang out, they have coffee and whatever the equivalent of donuts is in this future, when in the distance they see another time travel squad made up of probably like younger looking people poof into existence and go for like an armored car or something. They have their look at each other with their eyebrows raised, like, should we get involved? It's like, well, we have to teach them time isn't free, and then the credits roll.
I'll just start writing the best picture acceptance speech right now.
we definitely got to put you guys in the credits for
everybody gets a story by credit.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, Jay and Eli, thank you so much for being on our show. We appreciate it. You guys obviously made this a way cooler story than me and Dylan could have put up there. Because now I know about Arsène Lupin, who is French and has a grandson, I think. Before we get going, though, before we do our outro, do you guys want to pitch your show one last time, where people can find you, et cetera, social media, whatever?
Sure. You can find Super Bracket Bros on any podcast platforms. You can find it Spotify, Apple, Pandora, etc. So anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can find Super Bracket Bros. If you want to hear us talk about General Grievous versus Maui from Moana, or you want to hear us talk about Wonder Woman versus Mario, or Sephiroth versus Bumblebee, we really want to cover it all. So find us, listen to us let us know what you think. We would really, really appreciate you coming to check us out.
Yeah, it's cool. And I know you guys take a lot of submissions on Instagram. You do ask people to comment, and you'll see some of my comments on there. And also, you have a phone number. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. You're catching me a little off guard here, actually.
I only know that because yesterday that phone number got put into my cell phone, and
yes,
it will be used probably too much.
Yes, no, I will. If you want to tune into the episode that's going to release on December 27th, which will be All Might versus Mewtwo, you can hear Zach call in to us and let us know how wrong we are about General Grievous. So yeah, that would be that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, right on. Again, thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Yeah. Super Bracket Bros, go check them out. They are awesome. And Dylan, you are awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
You too, Zach, for being my accountability buddy for when it comes to actually doing stuff.
Yeah, you're a good dude. You're a good writer, and you're a good friend. I appreciate you.
I'd be a hermit otherwise.
Cool. But until next time, we are Some Nobodies. I'm Zach. This is Dylan. Check us out. You can go to www.somenobodies.com. You can go to patreon.com/somenobodies. You can check us out on Twitch. You might be watching it right now. I have no idea. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. You can literally find us everywhere. And if you do want to help us out on Patreon, you could be one of these people that I get to mention, such as Sarah Tkachuk, Tonya Sheck, Scott Curtis with Behind the Bits podcast. You have the Listener app. If you're into podcasts and you want to have a transcription of what they are instead of just listening to it, you want to read it, go to listenerapp.com. You can also go to find them on Instagram at the Greatest Podcast App. If you're in Delaware, 2SP, Two Stones Pub. Great place. Check it out. Awesome people. And once again, thank you to Dylan for being an awesome dude. And thank you to IBM TV, International Broadcast Media Television. Yeah, I think that's it. Is that it?
If you're outside in Ohio, if you're in Ohio right now, go outside and scream at the sky.
Yeah.
Do it.
Until next time, thank you guys.
Not relevant, just saying.
Bye.
Bye.